Jordan had always loved the forest. Since childhood, the tall trees, soft moss, and the gentle sounds of birds made the woods feel like a second home. Living in a small town surrounded by thick woods, Jordan often went hiking alone to clear his mind and enjoy nature's peace. On this particular day, the sun was shining warmly, and a cool breeze rustled the leaves. The forest seemed calm and inviting. As Jordan walked deeper into the woods, he noticed something strange. A faint soft sound was coming from a thick bush near the path. Curious, he stopped and listened carefully. It was a small voice, whispering, almost like a child calling for help. Jordan's heart beat faster. He slowly approached the bush and carefully pushed aside some branches. To his surprise, there was a child sitting on the ground looking lost and scared. The child's skin was pale and almost shiny like silver. Their eyes were large and glowing softly in the dim light. Jordan had never seen anyone like this before. The child's clothes were torn and dirty, and they looked very weak. The child looked up at Jordan with wide eyes and said, "Human, help my mom." Their voice was soft but urgent. Jordan's mind raced. Was this some kind of joke, or was the child really in trouble? The fear and hope in the child's voice made Jordan decide to help, no matter what. "Where is your mom?" Jordan asked gently, kneeling down to be at eye level with the child. "Trapped in metal claw, savage hunting snare," the child said, struggling to find the right words. Their accent was strange, and the way they spoke English was not perfect. Jordan frowned. The words didn't make complete sense. What was a savage hunting snare? And why did the child call him human, like he was something special or different? But seeing the child's frightened face, Jordan didn't want to ask too many questions. Instead, he stood up and said firmly, "Okay, I'll help. Show me where your mom is." The child nodded quickly and got up, walking carefully on unsteady legs. Jordan followed, watching the child closely. The forest around them grew thicker, and the light from the sun filtered through the tall trees in soft, golden beams. Birds chirped in the branches, but there was a strange silence too, as if the forest was holding its breath. As they walked, the child kept looking around nervously. Occasionally, they whispered something in their strange language. Jordan tried to understand, but it sounded like no language he had ever heard before. Still, he felt a strong connection to the child, like he was the only person who could help. After walking for about 20 minutes, the child suddenly stopped near a large tree. Jordan looked around and noticed the ground was different here. There were broken branches and disturbed leaves, as if something heavy had been dragged or caught. The child pointed to the ground and said, "Here. Mom trapped." Jordan knelt down and carefully looked at the area. At first he saw nothing unusual, just leaves, twigs, and dirt. But then his eyes caught something glinting in the shadows. It was a strange metal trap, unlike any animal trap he had ever seen. It had sharp claws made of metal designed to catch something large and strong. Jordan's heart skipped a beat. The trap looked dangerous. It had deep scratches and was covered in dirt and dried blood. Whoever or whatever was caught here was hurt badly. "Where is she?" Jordan asked again, his voice low. The child pointed deeper into the forest. "Under metal claw. Mom trapped. Need free." Jordan looked at the trap and then back at the child. He realized this was not just a story or a game. Something real and terrible was happening here. He could not turn away. Gathering courage, Jordan reached out and carefully touched the edge of the trap. It was heavy and cold. He imagined how painful it must be for anyone caught inside. He wished he had tools or help, but he was alone. The child watched Jordan with hopeful eyes, holding their hands tightly together. Jordan smiled gently to give courage back. "Don't worry. I will help your mom," he said. "We'll get her." For the first time since Jordan met the child, they smiled faintly, a small bright smile that gave Jordan hope. Suddenly, Jordan felt a strange feeling. The forest around them seemed different, almost magical. The air was cooler, and the light changed colors slightly, shifting like a soft glow. Jordan blinked and looked at the child again. Their skin shimmered faintly in the dim light. "Where did you come from?" Jordan asked softly, but the child only shook their head and said, "No time. Need help." Jordan nodded and stood up. He knew this was just the beginning of something he could never have imagined. The forest had secrets, and now he was part of them. Together they moved deeper into the woods, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Jordan's heart was pounding with fear and excitement. He didn't know what he would find, or if he would succeed. But one thing was clear. He would not leave the child or their mother behind. As they walked, the silence was broken only by the sounds of leaves crunching underfoot and the distant calls of birds. The child occasionally looked back as if sensing something watching them. Jordan's senses were alert, every sound sharper than before. He wondered how long the mother had been trapped, what kind of creature had set the trap, and what would happen if they were caught too. But he pushed those thoughts aside. Right now, his only mission was to help this strange child and their trapped mother. No matter how strange or impossible it seemed, Jordan was determined to do everything he could. The sun began to lower in the sky, casting long shadows through the trees. Jordan hoped they would find the mother before nightfall because the forest at night was another world entirely, dark, cold, and full of dangers. As they disappeared further into the forest, the whispers of the trees seemed to grow louder, as if the woods themselves were watching, waiting to see if a human would really help an alien mother caught in a savage trap. Jordan followed the child deeper into the forest, every step heavier with curiosity and a growing sense of unease. The woods had changed around them. The trees seemed taller, their branches twisting in odd ways, and the usual sounds of wildlife were quieter, almost like the forest was holding its breath. The child moved carefully but quickly, sometimes stopping to look back as if afraid something might be following them. Jordan's mind raced with questions. What kind of creature was the child's mother? Why did the child look so different from any human? And what exactly was this metal claw trap that had caught her? But despite the confusion, Jordan's determination to help never wavered. As they moved further away from the familiar paths, Jordan noticed other strange things too. The compass in his pocket, which always pointed north, started spinning wildly, as if the forest itself was interfering with it. The sunlight through the trees flickered strangely, like someone was playing with shadows. The birds had stopped singing completely. Even the air felt different, lighter, but at the same time charged with something Jordan couldn't explain. The child seemed to sense the change too, whispering in their strange language under their breath, their glowing eyes scanning the darkening woods nervously. After what felt like an hour, Jordan saw it, a clearing bathed in a faint silver light. It was unlike anything he had seen before. The grass shimmered softly and the air smelled metallic and sharp. In the middle of the clearing lay the trap, enormous and cruel. It was like a giant claw made of metal, sunk deep into the earth, with sharp pincers designed to snap shut. The trap was old but strong, covered in strange symbols that Jordan couldn't read. The metal gleamed eerily in the dim light, reflecting the strange glow all around. Inside the trap was the child's mother. She was tall and thin, with skin that looked almost like polished metal but cracked in places, revealing a soft light beneath. Her face was pale, with high cheekbones and eyes that glowed faintly blue. She was trapped by her arm and leg, caught painfully in the cruel pincers of the snare. Her body was bruised and bleeding a strange silver liquid that shimmered like quicksilver. Jordan's heart pounded as he looked closer. She was breathing but barely conscious, and every breath she took seemed to hurt. The child kneeled beside her, gently touching her face and whispering words Jordan couldn't understand. The mother's eyes fluttered open and looked at Jordan, with a mixture of fear and hope. Jordan swallowed hard and reached into his backpack. He had only brought some water, a pocket knife, and a small first aid kit. This was nothing like a normal rescue. "We need to get you out," Jordan said softly, trying to reassure both the mother and the child. The mother tried to speak, but her voice was weak and broken. She said something in her strange language, and the child translated slowly. Danger. Hunters come soon. Help fast. Jordan's gaze snapped to the tree line, where shadows moved quickly among the trunks. He could hear voices, low and rough, like people looking for something or someone. His mind raced. There was no time to waste. Carefully, Jordan approached the trap. It was heavy, solid metal that looked impossible to break with his hands alone. But the edges had rust and old wood nearby that might help. Using his pocket knife, Jordan began to pry at the base of the trap, trying to loosen the soil and roots holding it in place. The child helped by pulling at branches and twisting vines that were tangled around the metal. The mother groaned softly, trying to move but clearly in pain. Jordan's hands ached as he worked, sweat dripping down his forehead. Suddenly, a sharp crack came from the bushes nearby. Jordan froze, heart racing. The voices were getting closer. He looked at the child and mother. Both were tense and alert. "We have to hurry," Jordan whispered. With a last strong effort, he managed to loosen one of the pincers just enough for the mother to pull her arm free. The child helped lift her slowly as she struggled to stand. Jordan knew they couldn't stay there. The clearing was exposed, and whoever was coming would find them fast. Supporting the mother between himself and the child, Jordan started walking toward the edge of the clearing. The mother's skin felt cool and smooth beneath his hand, and her light flickered faintly like a candle in the wind. The voices behind them grew louder and shadows moved through the trees. Jordan didn't look back. As they reached the forest's edge, Jordan noticed something incredible. There was a soft glowing circle on the ground, almost like a door made of light. The child pointed at it and said, "Safe place." Jordan helped the mother toward the glowing circle. As they stepped inside, the forest sounds dimmed and a calm energy surrounded them. The mother's breathing slowed and her light grew stronger. Jordan looked back toward the forest, where the voices stopped just outside the glowing circle. For a moment, it seemed like the world had two very different sides, one dark and dangerous and one warm and safe. Jordan didn't know what lay ahead, but he knew this strange family was counting on him. And for the first time, he truly believed. The forest held more secrets than he could ever imagine. Jordan stood in the glowing circle with the child and the mother, watching the dark forest edge where the voices had stopped. The mother was weak, but alive, and Jordan knew they had to move quickly before whatever was hunting them returned. The danger felt real and close, like a heavy weight pressing down on their shoulders. Jordan looked down at the trap he had just helped the mother escape from. The metal claws were bent, broken only slightly, but they had done serious damage. The mother's skin was cracked and bleeding, the strange silver liquid leaking slowly. Jordan's heart ached as he saw how fragile she was. "We need to help her," Jordan said quietly to the child. "She's hurt badly." The child nodded, their glowing eyes filled with worry. "Need healing soon." Jordan pulled out his small first aid kit and carefully cleaned the wounds on the mother's arm. The skin felt cool under his fingers, but the cuts were deep. He wrapped bandages gently, doing his best to stop the bleeding. The mother watched, him with tired eyes, occasionally whispering something in her strange language. The child repeated the words slowly. "Pain bad, many wounds. Hunters close." Jordan's mind was racing. Who were these hunters? Why were they after the mother and child? He wanted to ask questions, but he knew now was not the time. They had to survive first. Suddenly, the child looked toward the forest, their glowing eyes sharp and alert. Hunters coming. Jordan's heart jumped. He grabbed the mother's arm to help her stand, steadying her as best as he could. The child led the way, moving quickly but carefully out of the glowing circle and back into the forest. Jordan followed closely, supporting the mother's weight. The forest felt different now, darker and colder. The familiar sounds of birds and insects were gone. Even the wind had stopped blowing. It was as if the forest itself was watching them, holding its breath. They moved quietly, trying to avoid making noise. The child whispered instructions in their strange language, pointing out safe paths and hidden places. Jordan trusted the child's knowledge of the woods even if he couldn't understand the words. After a short time, they came to a small stream. The water was clear and cold, and Jordan helped the mother drink. She looked a little stronger after, a few sips but still weak. As they rested, Jordan thought about the hunters. He wondered what kind of people they were, hunters who could track an alien mother and child in a strange forest. Were they dangerous humans, or something else? The thought made his skin crawl. "We have to keep moving," the child said, breaking Jordan's thoughts. Jordan nodded, helping the mother stand again. They followed the stream for a while, using it as a guide through the dark forest. The child's glowing eyes helped light the way, casting soft blue light on the trees and rocks. Suddenly they heard a noise behind them, branches snapping and leaves crunching. Jordan froze and turned slowly. The hunters were close. He whispered, urgently, "We need to hide, quickly." The child led them to a hollow tree, wide enough to hide inside. Jordan helped the mother inside first, then followed with the child close behind. They pressed themselves into the dark space, holding their breath. Outside, the hunters came into view. 3 men dressed in dark clothes, carrying weapons and strange tools. Their faces were hard and serious, and they moved with the confidence of people who had done this before. Jordan watched as they searched the clearing where the trap had been, looking carefully for signs of their prey. One man pointed to the broken trap and cursed softly. "They were here," he said, "but they got away." Jordan felt a surge of fear. The hunters were smart and determined. If they found the mother and child again, it might not end well. The hunters stayed for a while, searching and talking quietly. Then, without finding anything more, they left, moving back into the shadows of the forest. Jordan waited until he was sure they were gone before breathing out and helping the mother and child out of the tree. "We can't stay here," Jordan said. "They'll come back." The child nodded in agreement, their eyes serious. Jordan looked around, trying to find a safe place. The forest was dense and dark, and night was coming fast. They needed shelter, and soon. He spotted a large rock formation nearby that looked like it could provide some protection from the wind and rain. The child agreed it was a good spot, and together they helped the mother toward it. Once there, Jordan made a small fire with dry leaves and twigs. The warm light made the mother's skin glow softly, and for a moment she looked peaceful. The child sat close, holding their mother's hand and whispering words of comfort. Jordan stayed awake, watching the forest edge and listening for any sounds of danger. He felt a strange mix of fear and determination. He was just a human, an ordinary man, but he was protecting something extraordinary. As the night grew darker, Jordan thought about what he had learned so far. The mother and child were not from this world. They were being hunted by dangerous people who wanted to capture them, and he was their only hope. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew one thing for sure: he wouldn't let them down. The forest was quiet but tense as Jordan, the child, and the mother moved carefully toward the glowing circle at the edge of the clearing. The mother was weak and still trembling from the pain of the trap, but the light from the circle seemed to give her some strength. Jordan could feel the energy pulsing softly beneath his feet. It was like stepping into another world, safer, calmer, but still mysterious. The child led the way, their glowing eyes shining brighter as they moved closer to the circle. Jordan helped the mother walk, steadying her when she faltered. The Izim forest behind them was dark and silent, but Jordan knew the hunters were not far behind. He could hear their low voices and the crunch of their boots on the dry leaves. "Faster," the child whispered urgently. Jordan nodded, quickening his pace, even though his muscles were tired. He could not let them fall into the hands of those hunters. As they reached the glowing circle, the child knelt down and pressed their hand against the shimmering surface. The light spread like ripples on water, and a doorway slowly appeared, a swirling, shining portal, just large enough for the 3 of them to step through. Jordan looked at the mother and child. Their faces were full of hope and fear. Jordan took a deep breath and stepped forward, helping the mother and following the child into the portal. The moment they stepped through, Jordan felt a strange sensation, like floating. The world around him changed quickly. The forest disappeared, replaced by a place that was bright and full of colors he had never seen before. The air smelled sweet and fresh, and the light was soft but warm. Jordan looked around. They were in a place unlike Earth, a peaceful, beautiful world filled with strange plants and glowing flowers. The sky was a deep purple, and two suns shone softly in the distance. The mother looked around with a smile for the first time since they had been trapped. Her wounds seemed to heal slowly, the silver light returning to her skin. The child ran ahead, laughing softly, free of fear. Jordan was amazed. He didn't know where they were or what kind of place this was, but it was clear it was safe. The danger of the hunters was gone, at least for now. The mother spoke softly in her strange language, and the child translated, "Home. Safe now." Jordan smiled, feeling a wave of relief wash over him. He had helped them escape, saved lives. But questions still swirled in his mind. Who were they? Why were they here on Earth? And what would happen next? The mother took Jordan's hand and gave it a gentle squeeze. "Thank you," she said in broken English. "You risk much." Jordan shrugged, feeling a little shy. "I just did what was right." For a while they rested in the strange garden-like place. The mother's wounds healed more with each passing minute. Jordan explored a little, fascinated by the glowing plants and peaceful sounds. But then the child came running back. "Hunters, coming here," they said quickly. Jordan's heart sank. The hunters had found the portal. They were not safe. Yet, the mother nodded gravely. "We must prepare." Jordan looked around, trying to think of how to help. The peaceful place was beautiful, but they needed protection. He noticed the plants had sharp thorns and strong vines that could be used as natural barriers. With the child's guidance, Jordan began gathering these natural materials. They worked quickly, weaving vines and branches into walls around the garden. The mother helped as much as she could, still recovering but determined. The hunters arrived sooner than expected. Jordan heard the sound of footsteps on the other side of the natural barrier. The air grew cold and shadows darkened the garden. Jordan stood ready, heart pounding as the hunters appeared, grim faces, weapons raised. But this was not just a fight of strength. The garden itself seemed alive, responding to Jordan and the family's will. Vines wrapped around the hunters' legs, slowing their movement. Thorns and glowing plants released strange scents that confused them. The hunters tried to push forward but found the garden blocking their path. Jordan saw the mother's light grow stronger, brighter than before. She stepped forward, her voice rising in a strange, powerful language. The hunters staggered as if struck by an invisible force. One of the hunters shouted orders, but the forest around them was no longer on their side. After a tense standoff, the hunters retreated, defeated by the power of the garden and the family's courage. Jordan breathed deeply, feeling the tension leave his body. The mother smiled at him, her eyes full of gratitude and pride. "You saved us," she said simply. Jordan shook his head. "We saved each other." The child hugged Jordan tightly, and for the first time, Jordan felt like he truly belonged. Not just in the forest, but in this incredible story that had brought him face to face with something beyond imagination. As the suns began to set in the strange sky, Jordan looked around and knew this was just the beginning. There were more secrets to discover, more dangers to face, but also new friendships and hope. And no matter what came next, Jordan was ready. After the hunters had retreated and the garden returned to its peaceful glow, Jordan, the child, and the mother sat together quietly. The air was calm, the strange flowers softly lighting their small sanctuary. For a moment, it felt like the nightmare was over. They were safe. But Jordan knew deep down that the story was far from finished. The mother, now stronger and almost healed, looked at Jordan with a mixture of gratitude and concern. "Hunters will come again," she said softly. "They want capture, use." Jordan frowned. Use? What do they want from you? From you and the child? The mother hesitated, then began to explain, slowly and carefully in broken English. She told Jordan that she and the child were not from Earth. They came from a distant world, a place far beyond the stars. Their people were peaceful and lived in harmony with nature and technology. But there were those who wanted to take their knowledge and power for themselves. Those hunters were such people. They want to steal our technology, our light, she said. To control, to hurt. Jordan listened, feeling a mix of wonder and fear. This was more than he had ever imagined. Aliens, hunters, secret worlds, and it was like a story from a movie. But it was real. The child nodded, adding softly, "We must protect. Keep safe." Jordan looked at the mother and child, feeling a strong sense of responsibility. He had helped them so far, but now he understood the bigger picture. They needed a plan, a way to stop the hunters once and for all. The mother stood slowly, her light shining brighter than ever. This place, the garden, is a gateway between worlds. It connects Earth and my home. If hunters control it, they can come and go freely. We must close it. Jordan nodded. How do we close it? The mother gestured to the glowing portal. Only those with the light can close it. It requires a sacrifice, a choice. Jordan's heart beat faster. Sacrifice? What kind of sacrifice? She looked at him with gentle eyes. One who has helped us may give up the light, to close the door and protect both worlds. Jordan's mind raced. Did she mean him? Was he being asked to give up something precious? Something that could change his life forever? He looked at the child and mother. Their safety was more important than anything else. Jordan took a deep breath and said, "I will help. I will do whatever it takes." The mother smiled, and the child's eyes glowed warmly. Together they approached the glowing circle. Jordan felt the air hum around him. The light from the portal reached out like a living thing, wrapping softly around their hands. The mother spoke in her strange language, and the child repeated, their voice steady and strong. Jordan closed his eyes and focused on the light. He felt a warmth growing inside him, spreading through his body like fire and water at the same time. It was strange but comforting. He felt connected to everything, the mother, the child, the garden, and the stars beyond. Slowly, the light from Jordan's hands grew brighter and brighter. Then, with a gentle pulse, the portal began to close. The glowing circle shrank, the light fading until it was just a soft glow beneath their feet. The portal was gone. Jordan opened his eyes and felt different, calm, but tired. The light inside him had changed. It was still there, but quieter now. He had given up something precious, but he knew it was the right thing to do. The mother hugged Jordan tightly, tears of gratitude shining in her eyes. "You saved us all?" The child smiled, their glowing eyes soft and full of trust. For the first time since this incredible journey began, Jordan felt a true sense of peace. But the story was not over. Even without the portal, the hunters could still be a threat. Jordan and the family needed to be ready. They spent days in the garden learning more about each other. The mother taught Jordan and the child about her world, their history, their hopes, and their fears. Jordan shared stories of Earth and his life. They grew close, like a family bound not by blood, but by trust and courage. One morning, as the purple sky brightened with the twin suns, Jordan stood looking out over the garden. The mother and child were nearby, laughing and exploring. For a moment, everything seemed possible. Jordan thought about his life before this adventure, the ordinary days, the routine, and how much had changed. He was no longer just a man walking through a forest. He was a protector, a friend to beings from another world and part of something much bigger. He smiled to himself. No matter what came next, he knew he was ready. The forest, the garden, the stars, they were all connected now. And so was he. The hunters might return, but Jordan was no longer afraid. Together, with the mother and child, he would face whatever dangers came their way. Because sometimes, the most extraordinary stories begin with a simple choice: to help, to believe and to fight for what is right. And this was just the beginning.